Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Elconin. Welcome to Premarket Info.
The S&P futures continue to bounce every time we get into the 1390s. We bounce out of there, made an overnight low at 1398.50, and have now bounced up and are trading at 1406. Netflix was very volatile and rising yesterday as Icon disclosed a 9% position in the company. We have earnings reports. ExxonMobil just reported. Pfizer, Allstate, Avon Products, Barrick Gold. Tonight, AIG, Priceline, LinkedIn, and Starbucks. How's it going, Joel?
Not too bad, not too bad. I guess New York City and everything's trying to shake off the effects of the big hurricane. I know my sister that lives out in New Jersey got a 7 to 10 days before she's going to get her power back. So, wow, things are certainly not back to normal, but it looks like the markets are almost back to normal.
Markets really was muted activity considering everything yesterday getting restarted, and really the market was kind of quiet overall. It was a kind of a quiet trading day. Overnight we did sell off a bit, but we have bounced back and are pretty much trading flat right now at 1406.
So are we just building a base again? Is this just giving you a chance to get back in for all the people that missed buying in this area at the end of August and beginning of September? I mean, you just got to back it up, load the boat, man. We're going right back up. Right, Mr. Bull?
It's hard to say because we had a lot of, and you just got to go with the technicals. Like nobody really knows where we're heading, but you can make judgment calls and you can make low risk trades in certain areas. And in these 1390s, we bounced in August. We held there for about a month in late August and early September, and then we took off out of here. We are starting to form bottoms in this similar area in the mid 1390s. Until I start seeing a 1385 print, I'm gonna remain bullish overall. That's my tone. Starts to cut down through 1385, I'll probably really lighten up some of my long positions. ExxonMobil just reported here, Joel, 209 versus a $1.95, so they did beat. Stock trading is kind of quiet though. It's been trading a few shares at 91, but nobody really wants to make a call here on which way the stock's heading.
Well, if you look at the chart of ExxonMobil, and you overlay it with the S&P chart, almost identical patterns here. You had the run up to the highs in the middle of the month, and now you've come down. I was really looking at this like 89.50 area, 89.40, 89 double were some lows back in early September. We never got there though. The lowest we can get on this move was 89.77 and 89.68. So I mean, I know we're $1.50 away from there, but that's just major support for this stock. Just like the S&Ps, it looks like it's just kind of forming just a little bottom here, maybe to perhaps get back up there and test the multi-year high at 93.57. A little shorter term, let's just keep it high on Wednesday's high at 91.39. Call that good resistance. If it takes that out, we should make it to the 92 handle.
We are still an hour before the open, so I would expect a lot more trading action before the stock opens. So check out where it's trading at 925. Obviously, keep in mind that we do have decent support down there in that 90 area if it started to turn down. But they did beat, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it was a good beat.
It was a good beat, so I wouldn't be surprised if eventually it did trading higher too. Avon Products reported earnings here as well. This is a stock that we have talked about on the show, and we have not given it any love, seems like ever. 17 cents versus 22, so they missed. They cut the dividend too. Stock isn't trading down too bad. It's at 15.10 right now after closing at 15.49. I mean, you go out here and you think about that offer that they were getting when they were fighting, when they were getting offered $23 for the stock. Now it's down here at 15. Shareholders still can't be happy that they didn't take that offer from, what was it, Cody that was offering that?
Yeah, very good. Very good. I was like trying to think of that. I knew it was a private company that they had done some investing with, and Avon had actually invested in them, and then they tried to turn the tables on them. 1480 was a scant print there, only a couple hundred shares. I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. After that, it rebounded up to the 1560 level. I still like 15. I think 1507 was a low back in September. I think you see some decent bids there. Then you have the low of the move at 14.45. So I don't know. I just think it's going to be tough to cut through between 14.5 and 15.
It's one of those companies that has had such bad news. Even when they report bad news now, it doesn't seem to go down that much on it. And you're right, Joel. This has found great support in the 15 area for the last 4 or 5 months. So I don't see why it's going to bulldoze through 15 today. I just don't see it happening. So
You
15,
know, you know why they don't make any money?
why is that? Oh,
Well,
they make money a little bit.
they make a little bit of money, but I know for years they have this one product. I mean, my wife actually does buy some things from Avon.
Oh,
And
really? So you're
yeah, it's
supporting this
really good.
company.
Yeah, it's the Avon lady. You know, she actually doesn't ring the doorbell. She leaves it in the mailbox. But it's just like $11.14. You know, there's some kind. I don't know what it is. Some kind of makeup or mascara or whatever. And she likes it from there, and it's like $11, $12, $13. So I guess they're not
They're not
selling those
selling high-end stuff.
exactly.
We've got Pfizer just reported here too. Stock actually came in line, 53 cents against estimates of 53 cents. Revenue was a bit light. They lowered guidance a bit for the year, 214 to 217. Estimates are up at 221. But the stock overall here holding up pretty well. It's only down 25 cents.
Yeah, it spiked down to 2407. Looks
That's
like someone dumped 30,000 shares on one print. They're probably regretting that now. Popped back up to 2480. Someone was looking for some bad earnings as it closed right on the low at 2486. So we have cut through that a little bit. You do have a little bit of air in this thing, believe it or not, in Pfizer. But if it really started to crank south, I would look at 24.45, which was the low on September 24th. But if you look at the longer term chart, Dennis,
nice
trend line
trend.
time for you.
Yeah, no, it's got a nice uptrend still going here. I'll try to draw. I'm not that good at drawing these things, but we'll try to draw you one here. So we're kind of just kicking around at that. If you take those three lows, we're kind of there right now. The thing did spike down to $24, but I can't see who sell. I would never sell Pfizer unless they really report a disaster quarter, down 87 cents. The beta is just low. I don't think you see $24 here today. I think it's probably going to maybe trade down a bit and maybe flirt with coming back up to break even. Hard to say. Let's move on. Barrick Gold, ABX, also reported, and they did not do well. 85 cents against estimates of 99. The Canadian gold maker, one of your biggest ones, actually your biggest one, trading down $1.40 on this earnings report.
Yeah, not a healthy looking chart in the pre-market. 40, it's basically been straight down since 40.20. Really not showing much a hint of a bounce. We did hit 38.88. Not sure if it's going to get to this area today, Dennis, but you really got to like the lower 38s. 38.28
Yeah,
was the low
yeah.
on October 15th. So who knows if this was just a slight mishap for the quarter, but you do have real good support there. I think if it comes down to that area, you see some bids. It's already down $1.40, so it's going to take a lot of mo to get it back up there. If you do get any kind of a rally in this stock, you do have yesterday's low at 39.95. Nice round number of 40 there, so I'd expect some offers to be stacked there today. Not only today, but over the next couple days.
Allstate reported too. They actually beat $1.46 against estimates of $1.13. Has not traded this morning. Is bid up at 40.23. Was trading up a bit last night. Joel, do you have that after hours high there after they reported there last
Well,
night?
there was one real stupid, less than 1,500 shares printed up near the 41 level. 41 was the actual high in the pre-market. I think it would be a real stretch to get it back up there today. Spotty trades here. Really can't rely much on the pre-market activity in this one. Just looking at yesterday's activity, it did take a hit, got down to 39.28.
Yeah.
That coincided with some lows back at the end of September. But coming back on the upside, 40.97 was yesterday's high, 41 high in the pre-market. That should be major resistance.
Got one more, Suncor, which is a Canadian energy maker. That stock reported as well, and they beat 85 cents against 78. 34.10 is where it's trading right now. It's up 50 cents here, bid 34.16. So this Suncor chart's interesting. It had this low back here in late September, just above 32 at 32.18. You came down there about 5 sessions ago at 32.55, but now you're starting to break out here. If you can get above this whole 34.60 area, that's probably going to be your first bogey. Then it starts to open up a bit.
Yeah, would that be a big move for this stock to get up to
It
30?
can, yeah. It's a thicker lower beta stock, so I think I'd be surprised. The 34.63 is definitely the first number I'd look at. They did beat by 7 cents though, and so it's hard to say here. This 34.63 is probably your first number, but you get above there, and then it starts to open up.
Yeah, I'd look right where it's trading now, 34.11. That was a high on October 22nd. I'd use that as resistance. Coming back on the downside, let's use yesterday's high, 33.75, as support. If it breaks down through there, it's probably cut into yesterday's range a little bit. But looking on the downside, if you're a long-term investor in this stock, 33.13 and 19, you got triple bottom in that area, so major support there for Suncor.
Let's talk about the ridiculous action in Netflix yesterday. Icon came out, said he had a 9.5% stake in the company. When he announced that, you can see here on the chart, stock just started taking off, went basically from 66 bucks, or actually it's right back here. It's kicking around just around 70, and boom, rallies all the way up. You can see the spike here on the chart up to 80. Where did it get to? 85 bucks? Is that right?
It did.
That's
It did. Yep,
ridiculous.
it got there right on the nose. I mean, isn't 80 actually 84.95 was the
Yeah.
high? I mean, isn't that? I mean, Carl Icahn, obviously a much bigger name and much better investor than me. But I mean, if you're buying this stock all in this area, 65, whatever, 55, 60 or whatever, and then when you make this announcement, I mean, it is that legal?
It's like his whole trading strategy is to accumulate a position, then announce it, and it'll pop 5 or 10%, or do some I'll buy the company BS that he always pulls, and then the company comes and bounces 15-20%. And then, he can use that opportunity to obviously either dump part of his position or, I don't know if his friends dump their position or what, but it must be nice to be able to talk your book that much, knowing that I can buy the stock and buy it up, and now I'll just announce that I have a position and it'll pop another 19% yesterday. That was absolutely ridiculous. We've seen these icon pops in the past. They usually don't last, so when you do have these opportunities and you own these stocks long, use those opportunities when icon says it to get the hell out of your stock, because
But he couldn't be selling yesterday, could he?
I don't think he can be selling. No,
yeah.
but who knows? Like, who he knows, friends. So who knows what goes on with that kind of stuff? But he can start to lighten it up. He knows he kind of puts a floor into the stock too when he says I have a position at it and he announces that it's at 70. Well, people when it starts to come back to that area are going to start to lighten up too, and then all of a sudden it'll be a month later and he'll have less of a position and he'll be starting to lighten up. But I mean, these icon pops are always ridiculous. Obviously, like how many times does he put a bid out, say, "Oh, I'm going to buy the stock," and then it never materializes?
Yeah, I mean what about Clorox? Wasn't he going to buy that?
Yeah,
at
Clorox was forever. He did that 3 or 4 times, and he had these spikes back. We can go back probably out to the weeklies and see why it's hard to tell in the weeklies, but there's multiple times.
Yeah, this is actually, but Clorox is one that has it has gone back up to an all-time high. So we can't bleach them too much about the Clorox. But just going back to this Netflix, look at this $85
I know, it's
level.
huge. Look, it went right to. So you can say this was all fundamental news icon, but technicals come into play. People bought that right to a critical resistance area. This whole $85 area was huge in July. We sold off hard in August, kind of made this triple bottom thing, and boom, where do we rally to? Right to the 85 level. So if you had orders sitting out there at 84.95 or maybe 84.90, I don't know if you would have got the 84.95 because how everybody steps in front of your order, but regardless, if you were sitting out there 83, 84, 80, 84 and a half, you would have got filled, and you would have been really happy about it.
And there was some Mr. Softy rumors last week, right? Kicking around that they were looking at it. I don't know if you got that on that.
Yeah, I saw that mentioned that there's been a few. There's been rumors with Netflix for a while. I mean, the stock is valuation starting to get a little more reasonable from when it was up at $300 a share. But I just don't love the company either. I still think Netflix, unless it does get acquired by somebody else, is going to continue to drift down. I mean, what are they just selling old, or basically allowing you to rent old movies, old TV series? Like, there's not. Do they have new content on that thing? Is there any
Not
news?
unless they put pre-market info on there.
That's what. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of watching old movies and stuff. I've got VCR tapes. I could put those in there for that if I really wanted to, as opposed to subscribe to this for $7 or $8 or $10 a month. So not a huge fan of the company, but apparently Carl Icahn is, and apparently he has a little bit of influence. AIG reports tonight. The stock obviously didn't have a great day yesterday, but did come back, opened right at the low, right around that $34 area, and then just started to rally back. Obviously, the hurricane was the reason for that, but started to rally back. Stock is trading up in the pre-market. It's up 20 cents here, Joel. What do you think going into this report tonight?
I think you see some position squaring here. You are trading above yesterday's high here, but you have 4 subsequent highs between 35.08 and 35.32. So I think that's you're going to find some resistance. I don't see it breaking out and running out towards 36 today. And I'm sure if you got any pullbacks into the mid 34s, you might get some nervous shorts starting to cover.
Priceline reports as well tonight. The stock has been volatile for the last few trading sessions. 571.20 is where it was trading after hours last night. Hasn't had any trades today. Closed at 573.77. Stock has a good report tonight. I think 600 is a big psychological number, obviously, and support's pretty well defined. We can go back to August. We had a 553 low back in August, and then just 5 trading sessions ago, again 553. So it's got this double bottom in place. Obviously, if it takes out 550, starts to get below there, it could get ugly. But off the hop, 550 looks like your critical support that this stock needs to hold.
Yeah, I'm not that great with these $500 and $600 stocks. Kind of hard to call. You really got to give yourself a wide range. And it did get the reason it came off that bottom was the Expedia earnings.
Yes,
a couple days ago. So a lot of times you do see follow through in the same sector. I haven't ever bought anything on Priceline.com, so I can't contribute to the earnings or not. I'm sure on any kind of rallies in the pre-market tomorrow or tonight, they're good numbers. That 600 level is going to be key. 599.10 was the low on the 18th. But, we talk about risk-reward and we talk about parameters in place for a stop. If you are bullish this price line here, you definitely have a 20-point area here of risk. But if it goes back up at to 640, then you got a good risk-reward ratio.
Yeah, and if it was to get under 550, I would get the hell out. If that double bottom gets breached, you do not want to own this stock. So that's one bogey to keep an eye on. It may trade down, and if it can hold that, great. But if it doesn't hold that 550, Katie bar the door. LinkedIn, LNKD, that reports tonight too. Here's a stock that I don't get. The multiple's ridiculous on it, but the stock continues to hold up. 107.25 is where it's trading this morning. Closed at 106.93. It's found resistance in this 110 area the last couple of days, but I would imagine off this earnings report it's probably going to move 10 points in either direction. So hard to say where you're going to have. So resistance for today is at 110, but other than that, maybe you got to look at this 100 psychological for support, and then the highs up there. It's found lots of resistance up in the 123, 124 area.
Yeah, I mean, this thing can go anywhere between 102.12, that was the low back on Friday, and then you do have a couple tops, 110 even, 110.42, so it could really bounce around in those two levels. Below that, you got to really you mentioned it, you got to keep an eye on that $100 level. Had a low at 100.26 and 100.37 back in mid-August, so you got to believe it's still in an uptrend here, and until you take out that critical $100 level.
One more, SBUX, that reports tonight. Here's a company that I don't love either, SBUX. I know everybody says it's cheap, but if you go out, and I've said this before in the past, go to the monthlies. This was cheap back in 2008 when this got to $8 a share, $7 a share. At 40, this is around from 7 ran over to 60 over $60. It's pulled back from the 60, but I still don't think it's that cheap here at $45 a share. They obviously report tonight, though, and the stock has been pretty volatile here the last week or two. It was trading up at $49 just about 10 trading sessions ago, then sniffed down into the low 44s. So really, you got a lot of air here everywhere.
Just thinking like '09, if you would have went in instead of getting like 2 lattes, if you would have, bought a couple hundred shares of the stock.
Well, you gotta buy shares of $7 instead of 2. I could have bought the stock. I should have had that up on the board. Buy shares in our company. Everybody would have been really happy with Starbucks then.
Wasn't Ford doing that when it got to a buck or something?
Giving away stock with when you buy a car.
Yeah, I think
do remember
so.
something like that.
I'll have to Google that. This stock is really, longer term. Until this thing can get back over $52. I know that's a ways away, but that just sticks out as a sore thumb here. After making that low at 43.40, that's been the range. Now kind of just kicking around in the lower end of the range. Longer term investors, you got to hold on for that $43 level to get taken out. We're only a couple bucks from there. Coming back on the upside, I see major resistance at around the $49 level. Had 2 highs at $49.17 and $49.28.
Show's getting long here. Let's just quickly talk about Apple, because Apple did have a volatile day once again. Took out the $600 level, basically gapping down. Got as low as $587 and then started to rally hard. I think you had this end of the month pump up Apple, and then it sold off towards the end of the day. But I think a little bit of that run up was definitely people towards the end of the month just pumping the stock up.
One of our subscribers was asking me about that, and I'm like, earnings miss, shake up in the management, no new products since Jobs died. Possible the all-time high is in an Apple. Oh my God! Someone said
I don't want to
Oh
say.
my God.
I'm not going to go out on that limb and say with it. 7050.
There's people picketing outside my office right now, and they're gonna
70507. Is that what you're saying? That could be the all-time high. Apple has obviously come down a lot here, but the stock is still on a valuation perspective very cheap. So, what's a multiple? 12 or 14 going forward here? It's still pretty cheap from a multiple perspective. So I don't think this thing's going to fall like 100 points from here. It's starting to get into some decent value. Maybe it was a little long in the tooth up in the 700 area, but it is starting to find value. And I think if you got into these if you were down 20 or 30 points from here, you're going to find buyers.
Okay, I know we're wrong and long on the show here, but just got a rare formation you don't see too often. Wells Fargo here hit 33.50 a couple days ago, made multiple lows in that area, corresponds with some lows that you had in August. So low risk trade here at the 33.70, 33.60 area, using that 33.50 as a stop out. All right, that's our show for today, folks, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.